Letter 35. To the Honourable Daines Barrington, Selborne, May 20, 1777. Dear Sir, lands that are subject to frequent inundations are always poor, and probably the reason may be because the worms are drowned. The most insignificant insects and reptiles are of much more consequence, and have much more influence in the economy nature than the incurious are aware of, and are mighty in their effect, from their minuteness, which renders them less an object of attention, and from their numbers and fecundity. Earthworms, though in appearance a small and despicable link in the chain of nature, yet, if lost, would make a lamentable chasm. For, to say nothing of half the birds, and some quadrupeds, which are almost entirely supported by them, worms seem to be the great promoters of vegetation, which would proceed but lamely without them, by boring, perforating, and loosening the soil, and rendering it pervious to rains and the fibres of plants, by drawing straws and stalks of leaves and twigs into it, and most of all by throwing up such infinite numbers of lumps of earth called worm-casts, which, being their excrement, is a fine manure for grain and grass. Worms probably provide new soil for hills and slopes where the rain washes the earth away, and they affect slopes probably to avoid being flooded. Gardeners and farmers express their detestation of worms, the former because they render their walks unsightly, and make them much work. And the latter because, as they think, worms eat their green corn. But these men would find that the earth without worms would soon become cold, hard-bound, and void of fermentation, and consequently sterile. And besides, in favour of worms, it should be hinted that green corn, plants, and flowers are not so much injured by them as by many species of Coleoptera, scarabs, and tipulae, longlegs, in their larva, or grub state, and by unnoticed myriads of small shell-less snails, called slugs, which silently and imperceptibly make amazing havoc in the field and garden. Footnote: Farmer Young of Norton Farm says that this spring, 1777, about 4 acres of his wheat in one field was entirely destroyed by slugs, which swarmed on the blades of corn and devoured it as fast as it sprang. End note. These hints we think proper to throw out in order to set the inquisitive and discerning to work. A good monography of worms would afford much entertainment and information at the same time, and would open a large and new field in natural history. Worms work most in the spring, but by no means lie torpid in the dead months, are out every mild night in the winter, as any person may be convinced that will take the pains to examine his grass plots with a candle, are hermaphrodites, and much addicted to venery, and consequently very prolific. I am, etc.,